For exercise 15-63, I've pretty much drawn in all the components as they need to be for the actual assembly. These are already 3D pieces. The only problem that I'm going to run into is each of these three needs to be rotated so that they all fit together. So I've got my web plate, I've got my rocker link, center link, drive link, and the two pegs that are going to assemble everything. Now, to get the locations and the rotation angles for these three pieces, what I did was I laid this thing out two-dimensionally. First thing I did was I put in the drive link on its 30 millimeter radius circle. That gave me the start point for the center link. So then what I did was I drew a 90 millimeter radius circle for the center link, and then I came down to here and I drew a 100 millimeter radius circle for the rocker link. Where those two intersected is what I used to determine the rotation angle for the center link and the rocker link. And then the last step that I did was I drew in these two-dimensional lines representing the rotation angles. Now what I need to do is transfer these two-dimensional lines over to these three pieces and then rotate them before I even start putting anything together. So first I'm just going to move this line from here to the center of here, move this one from here to the center here, and then move this last one from here to the center here. Now I may want to move these and readjust these so that I don't get confused, but for right now I'm just going to go ahead and leave these where they are. I'm going to go to the rotate command and I'm going to select this as my object to rotate. After I select my base point, I'm going to hit R, enter, so that I can specify a reference angle. My reference angle is currently 0. My new angle is based on that line. Go back to my rotate command, grab this object, click this center point, reference, current rotation is 0, new rotation is along this line. And then lastly, I've got my drive link, so I'll go back to rotate, select this object, click my base point, R, enter for reference. The current angle is 0, the new angle that I want is right along here. So now I know that these three things are laid out in the correct location, so I can now erase the two-dimensional lines. In fact, at this point I can get rid of the entire 2D layout that I had for this, and then I'm just going to type in -V, enter, SE, enter to go to a southeast isometric. You can do that by just switching it on the view cube. I've become pretty accustomed to using the key-ins, so that's kind of what I feel comfortable with. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this in 2D wireframe because it's going to make it easier for me to assemble. I'm going to move my drive link first from this lower center point to this center point right here. You may need to zoom in to see them a little bit better. Otherwise, you don't really have to worry too much about it. So now I've got this piece in here. I want to move this from my lower center point to my upper center point here. And then lastly, I can move this from my lower center point here to my upper center point here, and it should line up with this one. Now I can copy my 15 millimeter peg into the upper hole here and the upper hole here, and then copy my 10 millimeter peg from the top into the upper hole here and the upper hole here, and then get rid of those. Now with all that being done, I can type VS enter, C enter to go to my conceptual mode, and I can see that I've got everything in, everything's lined up the way that it's supposed to be. From this point, I can simply go back to the world coordinate system and a southeast isometric view, save it, and this one is complete.